1 second. Now I should have a bit of sound. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened with those. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Alright, let's try this. Try this out. Alright, 1 second. Now I should have a bit of sound. Oh. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened with those. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Alright, let's try this. Try this out. Alright, 1 second. Now I should have a bit of sound. Alright, so I'm just going to do this with headphones, or without headphones. Sorry, the sound may be... Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to go get my other headphones. I'll be right back. Okay. Alright. So we're going to connect these because this should be a better sound experience. Okay. Are trying again with the sound. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining this evening. All right, we'll see how it is. Okay. Are trying again with the sound. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining. Okay. It looks like now we have some good sound. So, welcome, bienvenidos a todos. Tonight, what I'm going to do is kind of do a demonstration and do kind of a live Spanish studying session. So, of course, this is an English class, but the idea is for you guys to see kind of the method. And of course, as I learn and come across new phrases and words in Spanish, we'll translate them and also talk about what these words and phrases mean in English. And we'll kind of go back and forth. So some Spanish and some English. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll go ahead and answer them as soon as I see them. So, my self-study method for languages is pretty simple. The idea, once you get to an intermediate level, which pretty much means if you're here and you can understand what I'm saying, one moment, dogs are barking quite loud in my neighborhood. Okay. All right. But yeah, if you're here and you can understand me, then you're probably ready for this method. But pretty much what you should do is find take maybe 30 minutes to an hour and find a topic that interests you and learn about it in English. So, for example, to start, I'm going to be learning about something in Spanish. So, for example, we'll start very basic. So, one thing that happened recently in the news is the selection of the new pope. So, personally, I don't know a lot about the processes in the Catholic religion. So I grew up Christian, so I know a lot about the Bible and the things they believe, but I don't know a lot about the popes and the cardinals and bishops and these different leaders in the Catholic Church and kind of the political side of it about how the pope is chosen and things like that. So this is a topic that really interests me. I want to find out, okay, how do they pick the new pope? I know there's the black smoke and the white smoke, but I don't really know the process. So what I'm going to do first is figure out, okay, how do I ask this question in Spanish? So the first step is we would say find, we'll put here in the notes. So how to study, we'll say a language, how to study a language by yourself. All right. And we'll put here, yeah, and for free. So you don't need an application or any kind of service. So the first thing you want to do is find a topic that interests you. So for me, the topic today is all about how is the Pope um, elected? So this is my sentence in English. How is the Pope elected? But how do I ask this in Spanish? That would be the first step. So I think maybe I would say, I don't know, I'm going to type a few things. ¿Cómo es el proceso de elegir, elegir, do I say la nueva? Because it's papá, but I think it's el because he's a man. I don't know. I'm going to put el nuevo papá. So the first thing is to figure out how can I even ask this question correctly. So I'm going to take this phrase here and put it into ChatGPT and figure out, okay, how do I even ask this question in the proper way? So that's going to be my first step. Find a topic that interests you. And yeah, you could say yeah, I use ChatGPT a lot. So we could say use ChatGPT to um, figure out how to ask the question in, we're just going to say English in this case because I'm showing it in Spanish, but we're going to talk about English as well. So let's go here. All right. So we'll go. All right. This is something else. All right. So we'll go here. Earlier, I was looking for some YouTube channels to watch, but we're going to go here to a new chat. So I'll just type in, I am studying Spanish and want to um, learn about the process for electing a new pope. Um, I'll say in Spanish. Uh, how how can I phrase, or we'll just yeah, how can I phrase the question in Spanish? And I'll type in kind of what I thought was correct, and we'll see. I'll say is this correct? We'll move this over here. These are my notes for our class today. So is correct. Okay. So we'll start out very simply. How do I even look for the information? Okay. So I I misspelled elegir. Okay. It's more natural to say como es it para. Okay. So it's better to say para instead of de. So this is a good tip. And then it's al nuevo papá. Okay. Interesting. So a few small mistakes that I made here. So here is the correct version. And let's type also what are some other ways to ask the same question. Okay. So we'll see now some other ways to say this. Okay. So, ¿cómo se elige a un nuevo papá? So how is a new pope elected? So yeah, in English, this makes perfect sense. ¿Cuál es el proceso para elegir al papá? What is the process for electing the pope? ¿Qué pasos se siguen para elegir al nuevo papá? What steps are followed? Okay, so this is this reflexive tense. And then it also gives me more formal options. So how does the process of electing the pope work? What does the papal election process consist of? So this is some good English. What does something consist of? So it's another way to ask about the details. And then more conversational. ¿Cómo hacen para escoger al nuevo papá? ¿Quién decide quién será el nuevo papá y cómo? Okay, so these are a couple more conversational ways to make this question. So now we have some good data, some good examples of how to make questions. So I'm going to take these and put them on in our document here. And actually, we'll put this here at the bottom. All right. So now that we have these, Okay, papa. Okay, papa. Like that. Papa. Not papa like dad, but okay. Al nuevo papa. Así. Es así. ¿Cómo se lee a un nuevo papa? Okay, está bien. Stress in the first syllable. Muchas gracias. Super. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find a video talking about this. So I had found one earlier, but let's see if I can find it here. I believe it's on one of my playlists. Yes. Okay. Papa. Oh, okay. So that's the difference between papa como padre y papa, like the Pope. Oh, okay. Very interesting. Uh, because I always thought, yeah, it's a bit odd. It just doesn't, why is it the same? Yeah. Why is it the same word, but it's a different word? So what we'll do, let me go to my playlist, and I believe I have another, yeah, another video. Also, unrelated topic. Now El Chavo de Ocho is on YouTube, and you can watch it 24/7. I'm not going to watch it here because I think I would get some kind of copyright claim, like algo de derechos de autor. But you can watch it here. They have an official YouTube channel. It's not pirated or anything. So if you guys want to reminisce and you want this feeling of nostalgia, you can go on YouTube and watch El Chavo del Ocho some other time. Um, but anyway, we'll look here at my playlist and Spanish videos. Okay, all right, very good. So we'll watch this one, ¿Cómo se lee al nuevo Papa en el Vaticano? So I'm going to watch this video and try to find either words I don't know or constructions that I think are interesting and sound native to me. So es muy común que la gente me pregunte en las clases, es que, ¿cuáles son los frases nativos? Es que yo quiero hablar como nativo, ¿cuáles son cómo hace no sé, una oración como un nativo? Y es muy difícil enseñar y explicar porque hablar como nativo es como hay cientos, hay miles de construcciones, de frases que usan los nativos en cualquier idioma. Entonces, la mejor manera de poder hacer eso es ver algo, pues, si quieres mejorar hablando, el mejor es ver otras personas hablando, porque a veces el idioma escrito y el idioma am, hablado es como diferente. Entonces, si quieres, es mejor escuchar, pero la idea es como uno ver. Ay, que me traba la lengua. Pero la idea es que uno debe ver un video y busca en ese video unas frases que a ti te parece como, es una frase que me parece muy nativo. Y estudia esa frase y así va cogiendo poco a poco una lista de frases y si uno hace eso todos los días, todas las semanas, con 3 o 4 frases cada día, sobre el tiempo uno va como construyendo un vocabulario no de palabras, sino de frases y de oraciones que son muy nativos y más o menos es la idea. Entonces vamos a seguir. Ok, ya, so vamos a ver eso y a ver qué frases puedes sacar y obviamente también vamos a hablar de cosas de inglés. Ay, no.
أنا اسمي وحيد عمر 7 سنين
Ok, así.
بحب.
El cónclave es el proceso mediante el cual se elige a un nuevo papa en la iglesia.
Ok, ya encontré algo. Okay, so, and I'll change the subtitles here to Spanish. Es el proceso mediante. Okay, so this word mediante is a word that I recognize. It means through in English, but it's not a word that I'm super familiar with. So also what we're going to do is we're going to go to YouTubetranscript.com and we're going to put in the transcript here. We're going to put in the link in order to obtain this transcript. So we'll see what we have here. While we wait for that, we'll go through. But one word I found here is this word mediante. So this, I think, is an interesting word. I don't quite understand how it's used in Spanish. And another very important thing is you want to keep an eye out for words that you can recognize but you can't use. I think so many students, including myself, in other languages, we have so many words that we know it and we can recognize it, but we can't use it. Or maybe you can use it if you sit and you think about it, but when you're having a conversation or you're in a meeting at work, it's not there for you to just grab easily and use. But you feel like it's there because you recognize that you don't really have to think about it. You say, okay, mediante is through is mediante. Okay, I got it. But you can't really use it. So these are really the words that you should be trying to add to your vocabulary first. These are the most important words because also they're the most accessible. They're the easiest words to grab. So let's do this. Okay. Ask a question in English, and then we'll say find a video. We'll say this. Find a video on the topic, and then we'll say watch the video. And here we're going to say look for words and phrases that, and we'll say one, you don't know or understand. And then the next one is you understand, but we'll say struggle to use, como le cuesta usar. So I'd say this is the most important one. And then I would say just more importantly is look for structures um, more than words. So a structure could be something like um, so hot that I was sweating through my shirt. So the structure here is so something that. So you want to look really for structures because the language is really just a lot of structures and you gotta it yeah, I don't know. You kind of just gotta go into the content and just grab the structures and study them and review them. And it is a process, it is a grind, but it does work. So this is, I would say, the most efficient way. So it's not easy, but if you watch the content and you try to grab the phrases out and try to figure out how to use them, you're going to acquire these much quicker than if you're just watching TV and kind of looking at your phone and not really paying attention. So that's kind of the idea here. So, but we'll go ahead and continue on this next. Yeah, we'll continue watching the video. So we got the word mediante. All right, so all right, but we'll go through and we'll pick out all the phrases and then we'll go back and we'll talk about it. So,
Iglesia Católica. Su nombre proviene del latín cúnclave, que significa bajo llave, en referencia al aislamiento al que son sometidos los cardenales electores durante la votación en la Capilla Sixtina.
son sometidos. Okay, so that's another interesting one here. And just to be quicker, I'm going to go to the transcript and just copy and paste it. So, where is it? Que son sometidos. I think it means that they are submitted to, but it's not something I feel like I could really use. Okay, actually, this whole sentence, en referencia al, that's something I don't understand. Is la, el, but this al, I don't know when or why that is used. So we'll put this here on the list. All right.
Este procedimiento ha sido utilizado durante siglos para garantizar la elección de un sumo pontífice de manera secreta y sin influencias externas.
Sumo pontifice. I think this is just something very Catholic. De un sumo pontífice. Yeah, I think so. This is must be um, refer another way to call the Pope, perhaps, but we'll add it.
¿Cuándo se lleva a cabo el cónclave? El cónclave se realiza
Llevar a cabo. Okay, that's another. Se lleva a cabo, but isn't not llevar a cabo? Okay, so yeah, we're coming across lots of phrases and words here, and so we'll add them all to the list. So here we have here, for example, se lleva a cabo, and I'm putting it, and I'll put what my doubt is. So I didn't think that this was reflexive, but I don't know. We'll continue. But I know it, I understand that it means carry out, but I don't quite understand the use.
en dos circunstancias principales. Tras la muerte del Papa, cuando el Papa fallece, se inicia un periodo conocido como sede vacante, en el cual se organizan los preparativos para el cónclave. La elección del nuevo pontífice debe realizarse dentro de los 15 a 20 días posteriores al fallecimiento, cuando el Papa renuncia. En caso de que un Papa abdique, como ocurrió con Benedicto XVI,
Oh, advocate. Okay. So in English, we would say he advocated, which is like a very formal way, just like in Spanish, to say that he resigned, I would say advocate, but I didn't know that was a Spanish phrase. Advocate. All right.
en 2013, la sede vacante se declara inmediatamente y se convoca el cónclave para elegir a su sucesor. ¿Cómo se lleva a cabo el cónclave? Este proceso sigue una serie de pasos estrictos. Aislamiento de los cardenales. Los cardenales electores menores de 80 años se reúnen en la Capilla Sixtina y quedan completamente aislados del mundo exterior para evitar influencias externas. Juramento de secreto. Antes de comenzar la votación, los cardenales hacen un juramento de confidencialidad.
And we'll go ahead. Okay, very good. Thank you. Awesome. All right. And I'm going to put some things here in English as well, some differences between English and Spanish. So, for example, a couple differences here. Antes de. So, in English, we just say before, no of. So sometimes it's very common for people to say before of, but we just say in English before. So I think here they say, yeah. So before the meeting starts, I want to get a coffee or something like this. So, all right, we'll go ahead and continue. All right, so let's see what we have here.
Y compromiso con el proceso. Rondas de votación. Se realizan hasta 4 votaciones diarias, 2 por la mañana y 2 por la tarde, para que un candidato sea elegido, y este debe obtener al menos 2/3 de los votos. Fumata negra.
Dos tercios. Okay. Yeah. So this is one that I'm not familiar with. It's English, we would say 2/3. Dos tercios, tres cuartos. But yeah, we would say 2/3. Okay.
O blanca. Después de cada votación, los papeles usados se queman. Si no se ha alcanzado un consenso, se libera humo negro por la chimenea de la capilla.
Se libera. Okay. Interesting. So interesting that they say se libera instead of saying sale. Okay.
Sixtina, indicando que el Papa aún no ha sido elegido. Cuando se logra la elección,
Mm. Okay. Very good. So another question I have is with this aún is going to be maybe the location in the sentence. And of course, this means still in English, but is it always still? So we'll go ahead and we'll continue here.
se libera humo blanco para anunciarlo al mundo. Aceptación y proclamación. Una vez elegido, el nuevo Papa acepta su cargo y elige su nombre pontificio. Poco después es presentado al público desde el balcón de la Basílica de San Pedro con la famosa frase Habemus Papam. Este ritual centenario es un evento de gran importancia para la Iglesia Católica, pues define el liderazgo espiritual de más de
Okay, define. Okay.
1.000 millones de fieles en todo el mundo. Si te interesó este contenido, no olvides darle like.
So, very good. And so one other English related thing here is, I think they said mil millones. So in Spanish, you guys say something like, yeah, mil millones. So this would be, yeah, 1,000 million. But in English, this number we would call billion. So they would say billions of followers around the world. So, all right, very good. So billions. So we'll say uh, not thousand, million. But okay, very good. So we have watched the video and I have a list of kind of doubts and questions that came up. And the first one is this word mediante. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole sentence and put it into ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask it kind of to explain mediante. I'll say, yeah, can you explain mediante in this context, please? So here it says, okay, by means of or through in English. So it says it's quite formal, um, using or via. Okay, so mediante says it's not really that, that common. Um, but it could mean the conclave is a process by which a new pope is elected. So mediante could be by which or through which a new pope is elected. So this is a preposition. It's always followed by a noun. Okay. Other examples. Resolvió el conflicto mediante el diálogo. The conflict was resolved through dialogue. He was able to enter the country by means of a special permit, mediante un permiso especial. Okay. Um, I'll ask this. I'm curious, can mediante um, be replaced by other prepositions like for? So we'll see. Great question. Yes, you can replace mediante with for, but not always. Okay. So by the means of or through, used with nouns, is more colloquial. Okay, that makes sense. Um, so mediante un acuerdo. So it looks like por is more, yeah, informal and spoken. Yeah, is mediante used in spoken Spanish? Hmm. Not wrong, but slightly off. Por el cual. Okay. Okay. So now that I kind of have an idea of what it is, I'm going to ask it to give me some examples. So please give me um, some examples of of mediante used in various contexts and provide the English translation also. So I would always ask for the translation to your native language, and of course, we can talk about these senses as well. So the law was passed by means of. So mediante could be by means of. Mediante una votación. Through. Okay, yeah. Was passed through a vote in Congress. Okay. The citizens can submit their complaints through an official form. Pueden presentar sus quejas mediante un formulario oficial. Okay. Se diagnosticó la enfermedad mediante un análisis de sangre. Okay. Access to the, cerramos el acuerdo mediante una videollamada. Okay. I would not have guessed this. We closed the deal through a video call or via a video call. All right. The company secured funding by means of. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to do is I want to see some examples that apply to my primary use of Spanish, which is actually teaching English. So let's see. Can you give me some examples of mediante used in the context of teaching English, or let's say, yeah, or explaining English? We'll see what we can get here. Okay, so the students improve their pronunciation through repetition exercises. So I could say, for example, puedes mejorar tu inglés mediante la práctica diaria. I don't know. Let me see if that's a good sentence. Puedes mejorar, or maybe something better. Um, yo enseño inglés de una manera casual mediante la conversación. And my spelling is probably incorrect. And I'll say, is this a good sentence? Okay. So, um, the result and the action. Okay, very good. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Very good. Thank you for this information connects two things. All right. So now this step is the most important. After you feel like you understand the word or the structure, you want to try to make your own sentences. So for example, what I did here is very simple. You ask it, okay, what are some examples used in my work context or in my life context? And then, okay, I see here people get better mediante algo. So los estudiantes mejoran su pronunciación mediante ejercicios de repetición. So I just changed that slightly and I said, okay, I teach through this method. Let's see if this is correct. And that's what you need to do. You need to find sentences that are close to kind of like a sentence you may actually use, and then you can start changing little things here and there to start to make your own sentences. So let's see what we got. All right. And what did I say? Oh, okay, I just messed up the article. So, de manera casual, mediante la conversación. Okay. De forma natural, conversando. Okay, that doesn't have mediante. But of course, mediante, they say here, is a bit more formal. But okay, very good. And then other alternative, a través de, usándola, enfoque conversacional. Okay, and then you can see here, through conversation, using conversation as a tool, or with a conversational approach. Okay, so, all right, so let's see here. So add these steps to the list. All right, and so say, all right, so we'll say use ChatGPT to ask, um, yeah, ask questions, or maybe mostly just ask for examples of the word or phrase in context, and then we'll put ask any questions you have, and then the next part we'll see here is going to be, yeah, um, we'll say slightly, so a small amount, slightly, we'll say slightly adjust, we'll say slightly adjust the examples to form, or say to make your own sentences, then ask I don't know, you could ask a teacher, friend, or we can just keep it simple with ChatGPT. If your sentence is correct. And so the idea with this method, it's not to learn 100 words in a week at a very surface level. It's to really understand how certain words are used, and that's really the main thing that we're doing here, is we want to understand certain words. So, all right. So we'll go here and we'll type in, yeah, through, talking about how things are used. But anyway, so or let's see, and then we'll do this for English as well. So create a few English sentences with this structure to teach my students, for example. And so we'll have a few English sentences here as well. Okay, yeah, so by or through. Okay, yeah, so it's going to be by or through. All right, so let's move on to the next thing that we found here. Okay, so we talked about mediante. En referencia al aislamiento al que son sometidos. All right, so let's see what we have here. All right. Okay, so this would be pretty much the same in English, I believe. So in reference to the isolation that they are subject to, I believe. So let's ask about this full sentence, and then we can move on and see what it has to say. All right. So we'll say, can you explain the grammar of this sentence? Take this phrase and we'll see what we get. So in reference to the isolation to which they are subjected to. Okay, so this is an interesting English chunk here, to which, the person to which, the person to who. So we'll talk about this one here in a moment. We'll say something to which, yeah, we'll talk about this structure. So, okay, so this translates pretty well in reference to, oh yeah, okay. So this is a and el together becomes al que, to which. All right, so this is referring back to the isolation. So this is what we call a relative clause in English. Okay, more information about what kind of isolation is being referred to. Okay. Okay. So we'll talk about that one. And then subjected to. Okay. So this is this verb someter. Very good. All right. So let's start with al que. I'll say, can you give more examples? And we'll say, can you also say al, like you can also say, for example, a la cual, I think. So we'll see how we can use this type of structure. All right, so these are, they call them relative pronouns. And in English, we would say to which or to whom. So to whom we will use when we're referring to a person, and then to which would be with things. Let's see. This is the project I was referring to. Eso es el proyecto al que me refiera. Okay. Another interesting thing in English is sometimes we include this, but sometimes we don't. So you could say this is the project to which I was referring to, but sometimes we just drop it. Yeah. El lugar al que fuimos estaba lleno. Okay. Es un derecho al que todos tienen acceso. That everyone, it's a right that everyone has access to. Okay. So, yeah, this is a bit confusing. I don't quite understand what's happening here, but that's okay. All right. So, yeah, the difference here is just the gender of the noun. So, the university I want to attend is very expensive. University a la que quiero asistir muy cara. All right. So, es una situación a la que no estamos acostumbrados. It's a situation we're not used to. Okay, so the main question I have here so far is that in English, as you guys can see, sometimes we'll add something like that. So, for example, in this sentence, it's a situation that we're not used to is correct. It's a situation to which we're not used to is a bit formal, but it is possible. And so I want to know if this is possible in Spanish as well. Sometimes it's similar to that. Okay, very good. Thank you. Um, and so I'll ask here as well. I'll explain this. So I'll say in English, sometimes we drop the relative pronoun from the sentence. From the sentence, is this allowed in Spanish? So, yeah, just any question you have, you put here and we'll see what it comes back with. Relative drop. Okay, yeah, when it's not the object of a clause. Okay, actually, this is much easier in Spanish because in English you can always add it. So it's not going to be incorrect to say their ideas that I never had. You could say that, but typically we would. But if you say their ideas that I'd never thought about, it doesn't sound weird. It's not incorrect. It's just a different way to express it. A native speaker typically drop it, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. So we'll go back here. Um, but in Spanish, I guess you guys always say al que or a la que. The book that I bought is amazing. In Spanish, you can't say, oh, you have to say que. But why not? What happened to, but when do we put la? When do we add this article a? That's what I want to figure out. So let's see. There's no invisible que. Okay. But when do I have to add like um que instead of que? All right. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of this to figure this out. Use que when the relative clause doesn't need a preposition. So el libro que compré, okay? The girl who came yesterday, okay? So use que when the verb isn't the verb in the relative, doesn't require a preposition before the relative pronoun. When you must use, okay. The verb requires a preposition. This is confusing. Yeah, and sometimes, yeah, I've been speaking Spanish for like 4 years, or no, I guess about five. Yeah, 5 years now. So maybe a little bit longer. I started learning Spanish in 2019, and this is something that I've just kind of forgotten about, or not. I don't think I ever learned it. But when you get to this intermediate level, it's very good because you can kind of cover your mistakes a little bit. But it's also bad because it allows you to hide. So, for example, there's so many things in my Spanish that I can kind of talk around. I don't have to go. It doesn't like me not knowing this. It really doesn't matter that much. But I do want to speak like a native, and I do want to have mostly just more confidence in my Spanish. And so, because of that, I want to fill in these holes. Um, but that's one of the bad things about getting to a better level is you figure out that, okay, I don't really need, like, you can kind of fill in the gaps with the other words, or say things a bit incorrect, and you build these bad habits to where you don't really care about the grammar as much, which is fine for casual conversations, but I really want to be more professional and I really want to have my Spanish very on point, very exact, and very good. And so this is, yeah, and this is part of it. Sometimes you have to look at something and say, okay, wow, this is embarrassing. It's been 5 years and I don't know about the its preposition. So that's part of what you have to deal with. I guess you don't have to. You can learn new words and idioms, and you can kind of use English however you want. But if you really want to get to a point where you feel really confident, one thing that does help with your confidence is finding the gaps and filling them in. But that is quite, it's kind of a pain, to be honest. And that's what we're seeing here. I'm a bit confused, but that's okay. So, um, the country that I want, al que, okay, so in this case is like the direction. Al que, the friend, con el que. Oh, okay. So if there's a preposition before, you have to use this el or la, it looks like. Interesting. All right. Verb requires. Oh, okay. I think I do this already. So the city in which I was born is small. Oh, okay. Prepositional phrase, which, huh, okay. So, and then a common mistake. This is good. Okay. So the country to which I want to travel. So they're adding to as a direction. So it seems like actually for me, the pace is more important to sound like a native. Okay, very good. Yeah, absolutely. Figuring out how to, yeah, to kind of, yeah, how to not sound like you're just saying everything in a very monotone way is also a very good way to sound more native. Um, I have had students, and I do have students that it amazes me they have figured out this pace even though their grammar is not very good. They speak only in the present tense and their vocabulary is not very good, but they have this energy and they're able to articulate things well, and they've kind of found the rhythm of English. Um, and yeah, it does help you sound more native, and it's kind of like a music in a way. If you can pick up on the rhythm of it, you can feel a lot more confident. So if you want to, yeah, do that to kind of develop the pace, one thing that's really good is shadowing. So you can find podcasts or videos and find a short section of it and then play a little bit of it, and then just kind of copy that. And then play it again and just try to repeat after the person and don't wait. So don't hear it and think and do it. Just hear what the person says and then try to spit it out as quick as you can, like kind of from instinct in a way. Because if you sit and wait, sometimes your brain starts to correct you and say, okay, this sounds weird or unnatural. But if you just kind of try to get it out, I think that's the best thing to do. And especially when you find these like native-ish phrases or funny phrases from TV shows and things like that. That's always a good way to do it. So I'll hear things on like Instagram or like these dumb little comedy videos. I'll watch one of these videos and hear like a Spanish phrase, and like, oh, okay, it's like kind of a funny phrase. It's a phrase that to me sounds like very Colombian, and so I'll repeat it and see it and repeat it again, and that's kind of how you can pick up on the pacing a little bit. But it does come with practice. So yeah, what we're doing here today with kind of digging into this stuff in detail is not going to help a ton with the pace, but it is a very important thing. So that's another way that you can practice as well. So let's go back here and let's see. We have a few um, other things here. All right. So, yeah, so this was the hope. Let's actually do this. Let's move on. I think you guys get the idea here. Let's find another video. So what we're doing today is I'm kind of going through and watching some things in Spanish and kind of going through my learning method in a way of how I'll go through and find phrases and study a little bit so you guys can study by yourself. And the thing with studying is the idea is to do something active. It doesn't matter if you like if you think this method I'm doing now sucks and like this is boring and I don't like it, that's fine. You can do something else. But the idea when you study is you should have some active learning where you are paying attention to the language and trying to figure out what things mean, or trying to really improve your pronunciation or really improve the rhythm in which you speak, but the more active you are, the better results you're going to get. It's helpful to just watch a English show or an English movie after work, but it's kind of like when you go to the gym and you see the guys on the bike, like this bike where you sit down and lay back and you're just kind of pedaling and you're reading the magazine or looking at your phone and pedaling, like it's good, you're in the gym, it's exercise, but it's not going to be as effective as the person that is like running on the treadmill or doing a weight routine aggressively or something. And so the more active you are, the better results you're going to get. And it doesn't matter what the method is, but this is just my method and this is what I like to do, so I figured I would share this. All right, so uh, let's see. So I found a couple other videos here. All right. So let's see what we have. All right. So this is a video from the news. It says, ¿Por qué los consumidores prefieren marcas propias de productos en Colombia? So, just starting off here, I see this. I recognize this title has to do with, I imagine, like the store brand options, like the generic options versus the name brand, but I really don't understand this title actually. Pero marcas propias de productos en Colombia. Okay, so yeah, I'll ask ChatGPT, what does this mean? Marcas propias. Okay, so we'll say, what does marcas propias mean? I'll put this sentence. Okay, so this is what I guessed. So, yeah, so in English, marca propia would be store brands or private label brands. So this is when you go and you buy the Éxito brand paper towels instead of the other brands. So we'll put this here on our list. We'll say here marca propia. Okay, we'll say here marca propia is going to be, we would call this store brand. Store brand. So you buy maybe store brand chips or store brand soda or something like that. So that's what we'll check out here. All right. So what I'll do is we'll watch the video, and then when I find an interesting structure, we'll stop and talk about it and try to break it down.
Las marcas propias que ahora se exhiben en muchos supermercados y en cientos de productos se posicionan entre las favoritas de los colombianos. Expertos en medir el comportamiento de los consumidores explican las razones de esta preferencia, entre las cuales figuran precio y calidad.
So, and to make this a bit simpler, we're going to put this into the transcript. Let's go. There's a couple words in that first part that I want to talk about, or that I want to understand for myself and see what types of things we can find in English. All right. All right. Que se exhiben. Okay. So this is a phrase I can kind of guess what it means. It means they're on display, but I don't know a clean way to say this in English. So what we'll do is we'll put the sentence here Se posicionan. Okay. All right. So we'll put this here and we'll see. What about se exhibit? Because I guess you could say exhibit themselves, but in English this sounds a bit odd. So let me see a better way to explain this. They're on display, perhaps. Yeah. So display that are displayed. Okay. Yeah. So this would be the store brands that are now displayed. Okay. So in this case, we would say exhiba would be, in this case, to be displayed. So the store brands that are now displayed. Okay. And there was another thing here. Are positioned. Okay. Explain the reasons for this preference. Okay. Figuran. Okay. So this is another thing that I understand, but I really could never make a sentence with figurar in this way. So let's see. Um, let's get this one. What about figuran? And we'll show the sentence. Among which figure, price, and quality. But this is a very robotic English. So natural English, which include price and quality, or including price and quality. So that's what it means. Figurar could be to appear on a list, to be included, or to be listed. So, entre los cuales figuran precio y calidad would be which include price and quality. Okay, interesting. So, are included. So, entre los cuales, okay. Huh. Okay, so this is quite an interesting sentence here. All right. So entre los cuales is among which. So entre is among, and then los cuales is which. And then, yeah, are included price and quality. More examples. El nombre de la empresa figura en el contrato. Oh, interesting. Okay. I would have never used it like this. Okay. The company's name appears in the contract. Okay. No figura en la lista. He's not on the guest list. Like he doesn't appear on the guest list, but in natural English, we wouldn't say that. We would say he isn't, he is not on the guest list. Entre los beneficios que figuran en la reforma están el ahorro y la sostenibilidad. Among the benefits listed in the report are cost savings and sustainability. Huh. Okay. Interesting. So I'm going to ask it, give me more examples of figurar in, we'll say this in business English, in business contexts with English translations. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't appear. So this figurar could be appear, appears, includes. Okay, so this is a really good verb that can be used in many ways in Spanish, and of course, in English, it translates in many ways. So we'll continue here. Back to the video.
En los últimos años, Adela Arias ha optado por comprar el arroz, el detergente y otros productos de aseo que son de marcas propias del mismo supermercado donde ella hace sus compras y explica las ventajas que encuentra.
Veo que el producto también es bueno y pues uno siempre busca economía y pues que el producto le salga a uno bueno para la canasta.
Nielsen IQ, empresa especializada en investigaciones de mercado, reitera esta tendencia de las marcas propias. Según su informe, el 68%.
Reitra. Okay, so this is another word, reitra. So in English we would say reiterate. but I had no idea that this was a verb that could be used in Spanish. So let's see here. According to the report, where is this? Okay. Okay. Reitera. So a business specialized in research, market research, reiterate. Okay. So this is a good word here. Reitera, reiterar. In English, we would say reiterate. So to repeat something, again, would be to reiterate something. Okay. So he reiterates, he repeats this tendency, this trend of the, yeah, store brand items. And this word tendencia, we do have a word in English that is tendency, but usually tendencia means trend. So typically tendencia is going to be trend. So tendencia in English is going to be trend. We'll go back here. But anyway, tendencia is going to be like a trend. So, all right, we'll continue.
Ciento de los colombianos dice que las marcas propias son una buena alternativa a la hora de hacer mercado y su
Hmm. If you have a list of vocals o, u, vocal A figura en la lista. Oh, wow. Okay, very good. Thank you. This is a very good example. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, A appears in the list and I doesn't appear in the list. Okay, thank you very much. Awesome. That is a great example. Perfect. And then, yeah, if you wanted to say this in English, you would just replace figura with appears. And then one thing, we would say vowels instead of vocals. So we would, in English, we would say vowels. Uh, but very good. All right, interesting. So vocal A, all right, the vowel A appears in the list. All right. So another interesting phrase that I see here is a la hora de hacer algo. So yeah, this to me seems like something that's very, maybe not very Colombian, but very Spanish. This is not something we really say in English. So let me see what ChatGPT has to say about this phrase. All right, very good. So, um, so we'll see. One is a la hora de hacer used. It seems like we don't uh, have this pattern in English. Okay, so let's see what we can find here. So the literal meaning here, yeah, at the time of doing shopping, but yeah, no one would say this in English. So when it comes to doing the shopping, when shopping, while doing the shopping, during the grocery run. A la hora de hacer. Um, yeah, this is just a very Spanish way of structuring the sentence, really. This isn't just like I hear this all the time, like a la hora de hacer esto. It's often used in ads and things, but it's like, oh, think about our company a la hora de hacer algo. But I guess, yeah, when it's time to do something, expresses when it happens a la hora de. When it comes to, so let's see this. A la hora de elegir un proveedor, que es clave. So when it comes to choosing a supplier, quality is key. So I could say, a la hora de elegir un profe inglés, piensa en mí, or something like this, perhaps. Um, so, or maybe I could say, a la hora de, a la hora de hablar en una reunión, vas a estar muy contento que habías practicado el inglés, something like this. Let me see. A la hora de negociar, debes. Okay, this is a good one. So when negotiating, you must be well prepared. When it comes to hiring someone, we evaluate the experience and the attitude. Oh, so yeah, really, this a la hora de translates pretty clearly to when in English. A la hora de, hmm, a la hora de ahorrar dinero. Okay, so this is another really good phrase that I'm going to put on my list here. So I'm going to go back and review these, but I'm going to have a list of words to study. So we have mediante, we have figurar, we have a la hora de, and then we also have someter, someter, and then we have llevarse a cabo, and I need to look up if this is reflexive or not, but that's, yeah, I don't want to do it right now. So we're gonna keep on moving. But anyway, we'll move on here. But about yeah. Does anyone have any opinion about this topic of the store brand items? When you guys go to the store and you buy things, do you purchase the name brand, which would be like Oreos or Coca-Cola, or the brands like the regular brand, or do you purchase the store brand that says like Olímpica, Éxito, De Uno, whatever it may be? Do you purchase store brand or name brand? So name brand is what we call the big brands, Coca-Cola, Pozo, things like this. Okay, let's go.
Su gran atractivo está en el precio más bajo, comparado con las marcas tradicionales.
Que más o menos son hasta un 26% más baratas que la.
Okay. So one thing real quick here. Here they said something. They said comparado con, right? So compared with, but in English we would say compared to. Sorry, I have to double check. But yeah, compared to the name brand. So this preposition is a bit different.
Las marcas comerciales, sin embargo eso depende mucho de la categoría, porque por ejemplo también podemos tener categorías muy importantes como el detergente para ropa o el detergente para loza, donde pueden llegar a ser un 50%.
Losa. Okay, losa, this is another word for plates. Okay, lavando la losa. Yes, heard this many times, but losa is another way to say dishes, like to wash the dishes or something like this, I believe.
Más baratas, pero
This is another good one. Donde pueden llegar a ser. Okay. So this is a very good Spanish phrase. Yeah, very good. Store brands are absolutely cheaper, and typically the quality is about the same. Yeah, especially with the cleaning products, there's no points in paying for the name brand because the quality is the same. In America, at least in North America and the United States, they're probably made even in the same factories. You can look at the ingredients and it's the same quantity of the same ingredients. The only difference is the brand. So why pay more? Okay, but this is a good phrase here. Donde pueden llegar a ser. So the literal translation would be where they can arrive to be, but this is not a good translation. Let's see what ChatGPT says. So we'll just put this here and see what they say. End up. Oh, okay. End up. Very good. So yeah, I would say end up is probably the best one. So emphasizes a progression. Very good. So they can end up being 50% cheaper, or they can become, yeah, I like end up. They can end up being. So you gotta say it would be end up. Okay. This is what I was wondering. Okay, could you say this about a person? So he eventually became president, or he ended up becoming president of the company. él llegó a ser presidente de la empresa. Podría llegar a ser muy exitoso. So if you study your English, you could eventually become very fluent and very confident in your English. So here we have llegar a ser is going to be end up or eventually become. So we have llegar a ser, it's going to be end up, or it's going to be eventually become. Okay, this is very good. And this I'll put on my list too, because this is a very good phrase that I have not. I've heard it and I understand it, but I can't use it. So I'll add this to my list, and I'm going to make some flashcards with this later. All right, we'll keep on moving.
Pero uno siempre mira los precios que son más económicos que las marcas tradicionales.
Los supermercados de alto
Okay, so marcas tradicionales is what they would say here in Colombia or in Spanish. All right, cool.
descuento o discounter son los que más venden estas marcas propias. Por ejemplo, el D1 ha desarrollado 97 marcas propias, de las cuales 18 son líderes en el país, en categorías como lácteos, panes, carnes frías y productos de aseo para el hogar.
Limpiadores y algunos productos que realmente
Limpiadores, okay.
hay una gran diferencia entre la marca propia y una marca convencional. ¿Por qué? Por precio y por calidad.
Algunos supermercados locales también están optando por invertir en sus propias marcas.
Son productos mucho más asequibles para el cliente.
Asequibles. Oh, okay, interesting. I always thought it was accesibles, but I guess not. Maybe, but I imagine it means more accessible, right? So more accessible means, yeah, easier to purchase. But let me ask here. Ah, more affordable. Okay. Maybe this more accesibles is the Spanglish that I made up, perhaps. So I'll ask, is there a word in Spanish, accesible? Oh, okay. So in Spanish, you guys do use, yeah, very good. Affordable. Affordable is a very good word here. Yeah. So, I didn't know. So asequible, like this, asequible. I'm gonna make sure I'm saying that right. All right. So this website, inglés.com, is amazing. It's great because it's a dictionary for English and Spanish, but it will show you the pronunciation as well. So, for example, here, if I put this, it's going to show
Affordable. For the bull.
affordable. Yeah. So here you can see the pronunciation. It's written as if it was in Spanish. So it's great if you guys have a word you don't know how to pronounce. And now I'm going to use it in the opposite way. So asequible.
Asequible.
Eh,
Asequible.
asequible. Oh my goodness. I've always said accesible, thinking it was the same thing, but they're two different words. Very good. And so this is a very important moment, I guess, because oh, nice, some nice places to travel. Uh, sorry. But because if I had been just watching some TV show and not paying attention and just kind of okay, I understand, I don't see any new words, I know it all, then I wouldn't have realized that these are two different words. So asequible is different from accesible. And in 5+ years of living in Colombia, learning Spanish, I've never come across this. So, and in I don't know, the last 3 years, I haven't really been focused on learning Spanish. I've been on like kind of a passive mode. I've been very content with my abilities. Not really content, but I've been able to do okay and I have a decent accent, so I can do fine in day-to-day life, but I haven't been really pushing and trying to learn new things, and I really haven't. I've picked up a few phrases from friends and family and things like that, but yeah, it's not. But just in this one session today, I've picked up so much just by actually actively trying. So this is very good. So if you want to do the same with your English, you really need to echarle ganas. You have to kind of just be active. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You just have to be active. That's all it is. Kind of, okay, we're trying to find words. We're trying to find phrases. That's all it is. Find a way that you can expose yourself to English and then find phrases and words and get to use them and understand them. So, asequibles. Son más asequibles. All right. Asequibles is, yeah, just like he said, affordable. So affordable, asequibles. And then this other word, accesible, is like more like accessible in terms of, people like physical access, like maybe like a nightclub that will allow anyone in, or maybe like a hike that's not too crazy so that everybody, even old people, are able to do it. Yeah, it's accesible. Okay. The way of teaching is muy accesible, so it is accessible, but yeah, in a different way. Oh, okay. Well, very good. So that's a very good thing to have noticed. All right. I think it's better to say could be instead of end up because it's a possibility. What do you think? Give me 1 second. Let me go back and check. We were talking about llegar a ser, right? Um, so if it's a possibility, um, you could say like he could be president. So let's actually look back at all these examples with llegar a ser, and we'll talk about that. So, so yeah, if you're saying like in the example here where they said like podría or um yeah, pueden llegar a ser, you could say they could be 50% cheaper. I think that's good. So where they could be 50% cheaper, if you see some form of like poder or podría, it it could be. So in this context, where they could be 50% cheaper is a fine translation here. Um, but it's more about what comes before it. So, like here, if you don't have uh, any form of can or could, so él llegó a ser presidente, you wouldn't say he could be president because it's not a possibility in this case. But if it is a possibility, then to say could be or could end up is just fine, like here. So that the startup could be very successful or could end up being. It's slightly different, but it's pretty similar. Over time, yeah. So it's really if you see this as a possibility, then you could use could be or could end up. So end up, yeah, because be and end up could both be about this result in a way. Does that make sense? If not, let me know and we can kind of talk about some more examples with that. All right, so we have another comment here on YouTube. Accesible, tener una cuenta, que es una palabra que no se usa a diario, podrías decir más económico, lo que e- equivaldría a cheaper en inglés. Shipper or cheaper. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so thank you, Christian. So we have a comment on YouTube saying that this word, yeah, asequible is not very common in day-to-day Spanish. It's more formal, perhaps. Okay, so that's also very good to take into account. Very good. So thank you very much for that. All right, perfect. Go, I think, is end up. Yeah, could be. Yeah, very good. All right. So, all right, we'll finish this video, and I think we'll call it here in seconds. But we'll finish this video first and see what else we can find out.
Y pues eso también nosotros buscamos, ser más asequibles, más económicos para que
Okay, this is a typo.
el cliente nos compre más.
Según Nielsen IQ,
El cliente nos compre más. Like we buy more for ourselves, I guess. Nos compre. Okay.
el 50% de los colombianos asegura que los productos de marcas propias
Okay. Asegura. This is another word that I understand, but I don't quite know how to use. So, asegura, it means to kind of claim or to say, I believe, but I don't really use this much on a day-to-day basis, so I'll add it to my list.
son de calidad igual o superior a las marcas principales. Y el 59% de los encuestados asegura que comprarían más marcas propias si hubiera una mayor variedad.
All right, very good. So we'll stop here for today. We'll do one more kind of review over what we went over. So today was a bit more of a relaxed class, and the idea is to kind of show you guys, one second, to show you guys to assure. Okay. Yeah, so it does translate to assure, but this word assure is more formal, I would say, in English. So, for example, in this context, when they say el 50% de los colombianos asegura que los productos de marcas propias, we wouldn't say assure in this context. Assure is more like when there's like a disagreement or someone doesn't believe you, you need to assure them. So I could say, "Hey, I assure you that if you want to if you want to improve your English, the best way to do it is by practicing every day and writing down new words or something like that." It's like when you're really trying to convince someone of something. Um, but if you just, in this case, it's kind of like say or claim. It's more casual, I think, in this case. So assure is more, but let's actually look at this word and see what other translations it could have, because I'm also curious about this word. Uh, okay. All right, so let's see this here. Let's talk about this asegura. So we'll talk about this word real quick. Okay, state that. So yeah, here we say literally it means to assure. So yeah, you are correct that in some contexts it says that, but to state, to claim, to say firmly, it's used especially in news or formal writing about what people say. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. So this is a video from the news. Say that store brands are more affordable. All right. Asegura que. Okay, so but if you're quoting this in a newspaper, you'd say they said that or they claimed that. The president claims the economy is getting better. The experts state that this trend will continue. And she insisted that she had nothing to do with the issue. And so here you could say, like, she assured us she had nothing to do with the issue if you wanted to, because she's like really trying to convince in this example. But that is the main use. You would say claim or say. So let's add this to our list of English here. We would say asegurar is going to be say or claim. So, but all right. So we'll stop there for today. But the idea is pretty simple. This today was all about my personal method for learning languages. So I'm learning, trying to improve my Spanish, of course, and I'm also trying to improve my French at the moment. So yeah, this is kind of how I do it. So the main point is you need to be active. If you want to improve your language, you got to be active, which means find something that you like or that is interesting to you and use it as a tool to find good sentences. I like to think about languages like it's a bunch of sentences and it's a bunch of different like templates. And if every day, every week, you can find a few and you can look at examples and you can create your own examples and make some flashcards and review them, then you're going to start to build out these sentences and you'll be able to use them on your own. And it's just a much quicker way of doing it than just, watching a show, which is great. It does help. But if you passively watch a show, it's just your progress is going to be much slower. You're still going to make progress. You'll still like maybe you see a phrase, two or three times in the same show, you'll probably start to understand it. But if you take the time to study it when that happens, your progress is gonna go like this. It's just much quicker because you say, okay, now I understood it. So here we spent what, an hour and a half, and we went over maybe, yeah, about 10 different phrases. So later I'll go over these again, look at more examples, but that's the main idea is you want to find a video and then, yeah, kind of find the words you don't understand, the words you understand but struggle to use. This is really I would say, the most important one because I think it's like a confidence. It's about confidence, I think, because something that really hurts my confidence in Spanish is when I hear something or I don't know how to say a phrase and then someone says, "Oh yeah, it's this." And I knew that. I understand this, but I can't use it. It's like you have something, but you can't actually use it. It's like, it's just, for me, it's the most frustrating part of languages. These things that are stuck in your head and you can understand them, but you can't say them. So I think the best use of your time is to look for these things and just make tons of examples and use the AI because it's very helpful in this topic to check your examples, and that's going to help you to feel comfortable so that you can use these phrases. But that's pretty much it. Find something you like and then use it to find words and phrases that you either don't know or that you kind of know but you can't use. And then, of course, look for structures. So anytime you can find a sentence that you think is cool and it sounds native, and you think, oh yeah, that sounds like something like an American, a North American guy would say, then kind of study it, and you can use the ChatGPT. It's very helpful. It's literally built on like tons and tons of language input, so it's kind of made perfectly for language study. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, that's all we got for today. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'll hang out here for a couple minutes if you guys have any other questions about, yeah, this kind of stream, this topic that we talked about. And yeah, that's pretty much all we have. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thank you to everyone who participated in the chat, giving me pointers with my Spanish. You guys helped a lot. And yeah, I hope you guys were able to learn something from this time we had here together. But I'll hang out if you guys have any questions. So I don't see any questions. So if you guys are interested in taking classes, language classes with me, learning English, you guys can always send me an email at grants@businessasusualenglish.com. This is my email address. And of course, you can send me a message on Instagram as well. So if you're interested in individual classes, or if people at your company or your group of friends want to make a little group and do group classes, we can do that as well. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me an email or a message on Instagram. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. So thank you so much.